What's up YouTube? This is Yugiohtube bringing you my first Infernity deck profile for this format. Basically this is a really strong synchro based Infernity deck. I'm going to run through the cards and talk a little about what the plays are. So Armageddon Knight, 2 Dog Gruffers, a playset of Infernity Archfiend, 1 Avenger, 1 Mirage, 3 Necromancers, 1 Infernity Randomizer, 2 Street Patrols. The basic limited spell cards are Lord of Darkness, Book of Moon, Dark Hole, Foolish, obviously the launcher, 2 instant fusions, a monster gate, 3 MST, 1-for-1 reinforcements, a bottomless, 2 Call of the Haunted, a compulse, 2 deep prisons, 3 barriers, 2 break, 2 mirror force. The side deck consists of 2 night beams, 2 twister, 2 deck dev, 1 eradicator, 2 ghost match, one of my favorites, 2 heavy slump, solemn warning, 1 soul drain, and another one of my favorites, 2 trap tricks, trap hole, nightmare. The extra deck is basically the synchro base that I was telling you, but we have 1 fusion, the Darkfire, all the strongest synchros I can play. You got Catastor, 1 formula, 100 Eyes, Infernity Doom Dragon, Mistworm, Quasar, Shooting Star, Stardust, Station Sergeants, Hyper Librarian, Void Ogre, and then the best exceeds that can get me out of certain situations. We have Diving Direwolf, got a Cowboy, and a Lavava Chain. So a lot of times what I usually do is, if possible, I'll try to make Librarian, and then I'll get Randomizer out, draw a card with his effect, and then make Formula, draw 2 more cards, leading to overall a draw of 3 cards. What happens is you draw usually a lot of these traps, and drawing these traps with that is amazing. Randomizer itself used to have his own version of an Infernity deck where the concept was to keep drawing traps with Randomizer and then just setting them until your opponent didn't have enough solutions to all of your traps, and then you would just overpower them. Having Quasar out in this deck is really easy too, with the Call of the Haunted especially. I might even eventually make it 3 calls depending on how everything's going. But having a Quasar with barriers and any Infernity face up, it's beyond overpowered. Like, having Quasar out alone is usually way too much for certain people, and then if you have barriers and other things, it's way too much. The pluses that you're gaining as you're making Quasar are even more depressing for your opponent. Speaking of pluses, if your opponent does drop Max C, for example, oftentimes it's very difficult to stop when your opponent does a Max C. For example, when you go 1-for-1, you can't really stop anymore because you lose the 1-for-1, you lose the monster you sent to the grave for 1-for-1, and you lose the Mirage you'll bring out because it'll probably die. So that -3 turns out to be too much, and then the Max C will win the game for them. But if you do draw your heavy slump after they Max C, with Randomizer, Formula, Librarian, whatever, or if you already drew the heavy slump, then you can accept that Max C challenge and you can keep going with it. Getting 8 cards in your opponent's hand is not very hard on a Max C as an Infernity player. As soon as your opponent has 8 cards, they're liable to be heavy slumped. And what heavy slump does is it makes your opponent add their hand to the deck. You return all the cards from your hand to the deck, and then they have to shuffle and draw 2 cards from their deck. So basically, at a minimum, you'll make them go -6. That's really big. Under Max C, you went -6. Like, that's clearly something that's not supposed to happen. And you lose all your combos, and then the 2 new cards you'll draw probably don't even combo off together. So Heavy Slump turns out to be an amazing, one of my favorite, and probably the best, in my opinion, counters for Max C. The same way, Trap Tricks, Trap Hole, Nightmare. Amazing, super rare trap card in the last set that just came out, JOTL, because it's like a Divine Wrath, but it's not a counter trap, and it has a very simple condition to it. When a monster your opponent controls that was special summoned this turn activates its effect, negate the effect, and destroy that monster. So most exceeds, almost every exceed that has an effect that's activatable, when your opponent makes it, they will activate it that same turn. Draco Sag, Lavava Chain, Diamond Direwolf, Cowboy. No one makes these effects and makes these exceeds to activate their effect next turn. It's also a good way to get rid of many of these synchros. For example, Void Ogre Dragon. If you just made it, I'll try to MST something, you'll negate, and then I'll just Trap Tricks, Trap Hole, Nightmare you. Same thing with Xian, Stardust, whatever. A lot of, even in Mirror Match, when your opponent special summons the Archfiend, they just top decked, or even if they're just special summoning Archfiend, they have to activate this effect immediately that same time it's special summoned. Then you can just negate it with Trap Tricks, Trap Hole, Nightmare. It's a great trap side, especially against monsters who have, decks that have a lot of monster effects from monsters that are special summoned. So extra deck stuff. In addition to that, there's also the fact that you can save your barriers for spell traps because you used trap tricks for the monster effect already. So other than that, man, too many people. Yeah, so I love doing that. I love the heavy slub. I love the trap tricks nightmare, and goes in match is great because apparently, lately there's a lot of Dragoony going on. There's a lot of the Dragon Rulers in general going on still. So being that they're synchro based and they all have different attributes, you can really mess up all their plays. And in your own deck as an Infernity player, everything is dark. All the synchros that you need to make are dark. You can make a Void Ogre Dragon, Librarian, Stygian Sergeants, 100 Eyes, Doom Dragon, and then it's safe. The deck is very explosive, it's very fast, it's got a lot of defense, no heavy formats, so all the traps are great. And a lot of people tend not to play Mirror Force because it's negatable with Stardust and stuff, or Starlight Road, but you also have barriers. So things that can negate the Mirror Force, you can barrier them. And having that immense amount of destruction you can do with Mirror Force, it's a great feeling. So definitely try out the deck, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, and I'm definitely going to be posting more different builds I have as the format goes on. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.